Hi guys, I'm Leanne and this is my weight loss channel, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of a different story, if I'm going to be quite honest. I am well behind with recording my videos and I just wanted to pop this up before I lose the photos and the memory and the moment. So as you know, if you've followed me along, I have had several fears and barriers to myself. And that is originally why I started my weight loss journey. The main one was going on an aeroplane and fitting in the seat. Being a bigger girl, weighing in at 25 stone, 1.5 pounds, I was terrified of going on an aeroplane. That is really why I started. I got really fed up of having barriers to my life and experiences, and I felt like I was holding back my children because I would never take them abroad on holiday. Don't get me wrong, they went on lots of other things. They had lots of experiences and I paid for them to go away with school and things on like trips and holidays and stuff. But I just got to a stage in my life where I was like, actually, I'm sick of this. This is just not happening anymore. I'm quite a stubborn individual, and it just really hit home as I probably emotionally matured and just thought, hiding from this is not going to do you any favors. So yes, I achieved that if you've been watching me and following me, and I got on an aeroplane. However, although I pinned it on aeroplanes because that was like the biggie for me with my children, there are other things that my weight held me back from, and losing 12.5 stone has opened up a whole new world of experience. Now, don't get me wrong, I still, in my head, I've still got them barriers there and I'm slowly working on it. And I do what I call exposure therapy. So even though in my head I'm still holding myself back a little bit, I literally will just make myself do it. That's just how I work and what I'm doing with myself, because I don't know, I think fear is really, really powerful. And for many, many years, like 20 years, I have allowed fear to prevent me from doing things that I really want to. And it's time now to stop doing that and to get over it. And ultimately, when you do something, it's never actually as bad as what you think. So I'll stop rabbiting on because I've got a tendency to do so. I'm doing this because my non-scale victory is I've overcome another fear. I have not been to Alton Towers or been on fairground rides or anything like that for a hell of a long time. I think I posted a video way back when I first started. I did a series of fat shaming videos about things that happened to me because of my weight, and I just saved them as memories. And one of them was I went to the Goose Fair at Nottingham. I went to go on a fairground ride with my children, and I wouldn't fit. The bark, it was like one of the things that came down and fastened, and it clicked once, but it wouldn't click anymore. And the guy was just like, no, you've got to get off. And that isn't his fault, but it was absolutely mortifying. It destroyed my soul, and it was a significant trauma moment for me. I mean, I got off, I didn't really go on about it. I pretended like everything was okay, but it really wasn't okay. Thankfully, the kids could go on it because there's somebody else with me. But that moment was just absolutely painful beyond words. And I don't think until you have experienced that moment that you would ever really feel. I literally wanted the ground to swallow me up. I felt guilty. I was so annoyed with myself. I was frustrated, and the emotions that raged through my body there as I stood at the side of that ride, laughing, taking pictures, pretending everything was okay. It really was not okay. And a series of events like that built up, and it got to the point where I was like, I don't like, this is not like for me anymore. And I just literally avoided it. Since then, I've been really, really conscious about anything, doing certain things that could be like weight restricted. So my daughter's bought Oliver a helicopter ride, and to go on the helicopter, you have to get weighed because you've got to be under a certain amount. They wanted me and him to go on it, and I had to be like, I can't, I'm too heavy. And we went and did that experience, but it was constantly like Oliver was like, oh, I wish he was doing it with me. And I don't think he meant to do it, but it was just continuously rammed in my face that I can't do that because I'm too heavy. I don't go karting, any rides, there's so many things that I feel limited doing. Like, I can't go rock climbing. I can't, like, my body, it was just too fat to do it. I would not be able to physically do it. There's a whole heap of things, and one of them is fairground rides. And because I've like conditioned myself for so long that I can't do all these things, I find it really difficult to now be like, actually, I can do these things. So one of the things that has happened is my sister works for a company that once a year rents out Alton Towers, which, if you know the thing, it is a massive like roller coaster rides place. That's what you go there for. I haven't been for a long time. I used to love it as a kid, but I've never been, and I've never taken my kids. My kids are not actually that bothered about them things. And like I said, they prefer to do other things. But the fact that I've not been able to do it is winding me up. It's really winding me up. So my sister got these free tickets, and she asked me if I wanted to go. I'm not going to lie, when she asked me, the fear that went through my entire body, and that's not being dramatic, is undescribable. I felt sick. I got butterflies. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My chest was tight. I felt hot. I felt like my mind went into 1,000 different reasons why I wanted to come up with an excuse not to go. I literally, no words, she did it on the phone, the words, I just went quiet. No words could actually come out of my mouth. It was just sheer fear and panic when she asked me. She had a ticket for herself and then 2 other tickets. And she asked if me and Oliver wanted to go with her. And I'm not going to lie, it was awful to think that that's what was being asked of me. That, like, the words, I cannot describe it to you. So I pulled myself together pretty fast, and before really thinking about it, said, yeah, I'll come. I tried to be really honest with her, and I'm like, look, I'm really scared. And she assumed it was the rides, but it's actually the fitting on the rides. Like, I don't actually, like, that doesn't even enter my mind. Like, when you're on the ride, it does, but at the time, it just was totally irrelevant. The process of being on the ride, it's getting on the ride and fitting that is the issue for me. So I agreed to go, and then I think she asked me 2 weeks before we went, and for 2 weeks I dreamt about it, I thought about it, I was sheer like panic, like total panic. But the day came, I packed us a little lunch. Oliver drove down. Oliver's not big on rides at all. But I said, look, like, this is important to me. You don't have to come if you don't want to, but I'm going to face this. This is what I'm going to do. I have backed out of experiences. The swing in Amsterdam, I backed out of and didn't achieve it. And it just was like, right, I'm going to do this. Whether you're with me or not, I'm going to do it. I'll do it on my own, but I'd like to come with me. So he came with me. He did make me feel a little bit guilty in parts, but he did come with me. So So we arrived at Alton Towers and we got the oh God, what are they called? Cable cars across to the Nemesis. Now, that again really freaked me out because it is one of those that fully clicks you in. There was hardly any queues because it was a private, kind of event, I'm gonna call it. So it was literally walking on. I don't know if that was good or bad because I didn't have time to really think about it. It was literally there, walk round, and you were on the very next ride. If not, it was waiting for you there. So got on. I'm not gonna lie, I was absolutely I can feel a little bit, just even talking about it now, I can feel the anxiety rebuilding up. And I sat on. My sister and Oliver are both slim and have always been slim. And my sister was like, are you all right? And she was asking if I was all right about getting on the ride. And I just said, Lauren, I just don't know if I'm going to fit. Do you know, what if I don't fit? This is going to kill me. I'm going to do it, but what if I don't fit? And literally in my mind, it was like, oh my God, what if I don't fit? What if I don't fit? What if I don't fit? And anything else could have happened around me and I don't even think I would have realised because my little brain was just in sheer panic mode. I felt sick. I felt anxiety. Everything. Everything. It was almost worse than the aeroplane seat because at least with an aeroplane seat, I kind of did have the thought that the backup plan is I can have a seatbelt extender. This, you can't have a seatbelt extender. This is you fit or you do not. So I sat on the Nemesis and I literally did not even wait for the guy to fasten me in. It was like, oh my God, I've got to get this over and done with. I need to know whether I fit or not. I fastened it in as best I could. I was very panicky and fingers and thumbs. My sister did have to basically tell me how to fasten it in. And it fitted. It actually fitted. I got on the Nemesis. I rode the Nemesis. I can't tell you anything about the Nemesis because always round, it was just relief that I was in it. I'm not going to lie. At one point when it was going up to have the first drop, I thought, oh my God, what if this doesn't fit and it's just clicked and I've not properly tested it and I'm too heavy that my weight pushes past the safety thing. Just everything was going through my mind. But I rode it and I rode it safely and I was fine. I got off there. Oliver hated it. He was pale as anything. He literally lost all the colour in his lips. It looked like he was going to faint, which is a good thing for me because then I went into caring for him and making sure he was okay, which then distracted me from what had just happened. The weather while we was in Alton Towers was horrendous. It absolutely threw it down. We had bouts of having to hide in from the rain. Some of the rides got closed down because of the rain and we had to wait for that to pass. We spent a bit of time walking around the gardens and that was really nice. That happened pretty soon on, which was good after I'd been on the Nemesis because it gave me a bit of time to digest what had happened and calm down a little bit. However, my sister loves rides, so she did not allow for an easy day. I went on several rides. I think, let me think of what they're called. Is it Screamer? I think I went on. I don't know whether it's called Screamer. I went on Oblivion. I went on literally all the big rides other than 13 and something else because that never opened. Rita, I went on, and even though in the queue, every single time we stood in, we walked in the queue, I'm going to say stood in the queue, but the wait time was 0, literally. Every time I was walking to it, I'm not going to lie, I still had the feelings of, oh my God, I'm not going to fit. But every single ride, even though it was a variety of different rides and a variety of different fastenings, they fitted and they fitted well. It got easier and easier as the day went on. And I feel like I've done it. like, I'm not bothered about rides actually. Now I'm older, I'm just not really that bothered. My phone's just nearly gone under.
That water and all in it when it splashes you.
Have you got a bit wet, love?
Got a little bit wet.
Please remain seated.
Take this picture now.
Would I go back to Alton Towers? I'm not really that bothered, so unless it's a free ticket, no, I won't return to Alton Towers. However, the positive of this is that I can go to Alton Towers now. I can go to Alton Towers and I can ride all those rides, which means ultimately I can probably do fairground rides. That does fill me with a bit more anxiety because it's a fairground ride that travels round, and I feel a bit like they might be more restrictive than the rides in terms of size and weight than the ones at Alton Towers. So that is probably something that I do need to overcome and expose myself to, and I will do that. But overall, I went to Alton Towers. I fitted on all the rides. I mean, the photos are horrendous. They made me catch my breath. It probably worked out in my best interest that I was so scared of fitting on the rides because I wasn't actually thinking about what the ride was. But I've done it, guys. I fitted on a ride. I fitted on several rides, and even different rides all fit. And I would have never been able to do that before, ever in a million years. So losing this weight has opened up that door. Now, is it a door that I want to remain closed? Probably, because I'm not that interested in rides. I'd much prefer to walk around a castle or a city centre or anything like that. But it's irrelevant. I can now go on fairground rides. So that is a huge thing for me, a memory that I want to save. I want to remember this and as an experience and something that I've achieved. Am I proud? Not so much, because I probably shouldn't have let myself get to that position where that was a thing. But I am proud that I can now do it and that I've undone that. I think it's quite downplayed that people will feel like this about rides, and I don't think people even acknowledge that that's a big thing. And I suppose another reason I'm putting that out there, is because if somebody watches this and that's how they feel, you're not on your own. Do you know, like, it's a normal, okay feeling. And I think society doesn't acknowledge that that is what you face, blah, blah, is what your life is and what you have to go through. And I think that's pretty unfair, because everybody else has mental illnesses or fears or anxieties recognised and empathised with, but people that are overweight that have this are not. It's not. And I suppose it depends what kind of person you are, but me, the way that I am, I think that's a big deal, and it's something to live with that's really difficult to live with. I've lived it. That's what my life is, and that impacts on me even now. That's how bigger a thing it is. So I suppose if you've not been in that position, it'd be really nice if you a little bit thought about that and thought about what other people may feel like. And I hope this gives other people insight as to what it's like to be a bigger person. And every single day you are reminded of your failures, and it gives you guilt, and it gives you a lack of self-worth. And I think like it's a vicious circle. And sometimes people say and do things without thinking, and I hope that some of my videos, like the fat shaming ones and things like that, help people to understand what it's like to be a lot bigger. And it's something that people don't freely speak about, and the impact it has, and the fear and it does affect your mental health, your confidence, your self-worth, your self-esteem, everything. It does affect everything, and that's not being dramatic. It generally does. And anybody else with other issues going off gets recognition for those. And I think there's a massive, I don't think the awareness is there yet, but I do think there's a massive awareness elsewhere. And I think there should be that awareness and that empathy and sensitivity towards people that feel like that. And so that's another reason why I do my vlogs. It's okay being judgmental, and it's okay running with what society and the media shoves in front of you. But actually, people are people with feelings, and everybody deserves to be understood. So that is my video. That went really deep actually, and it is an amazing moment for me, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm also really aware that there's people that aren't there yet that have got them feelings, and I personally am quite aware of that. So I hope that I help people in my life that I ever come into contact with, and I hope if you've watched this and listened that it gives you food for thought to maybe understand a little bit, so you can be more sensitive to people and the struggles that they go through day to day and the limits that they have. Anyway, that's me done. Alton Towers, tick. Hopefully on to the next experience that's been holding me back, because I am going to make a point of forcing myself to do stuff and redo stuff that I maybe have been turned away from before. Wish me luck.